Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the Realacc Scops 100. This is another micro drone with some 1104 6000 kV motors. Essentially it's got all the same electronic components that came on the Lizard. It's got the same 4-in-1 ESC and flight controller combo. So it's a 4-in-1 10 amp ESC plus the omnibus flight controller, and it has the same 4-pin connector and not USB port. So it does come with an adapter. Comes with the same battery, the 550 milliamp hour battery, or 3S, as with the XT30. If you want to see the full unboxing, you can watch the haul video, and I'll put a card in the corner if you can want to click on that to check that out. This is a really unusual flyer, very strange flight characteristics. If you're used to flying quads, this is really different. And even though it flies with Betaflight, and you can still do PID tuning and everything. As much as PID tuning as I did on this, I didn't really feel like I felt like it was locked in terms of flight, and I might be missing something in terms of configuring this properly. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to explain. You'll see in the video it seems like it flies fine, and it's pretty fast. There are certain maneuvers when you're flying, it just feels like it's out of control, especially on very hard yaw maneuvers. So if I'm not pitched over too much, so normally you'd be pitched over like this, and then if you're turning, you'd roll, and then it would turn. But if I'm not pitched over as much, and I do more of a yaw instead of a roll, the tail would slide out of me or drop down. I'm not really sure why it would do that. Maybe it's because it's heavier. There's two motors in the bottom. But there's two motors going here, so it's very strange. The yaw authority is much better on this than it is on a quad, and I think it has to do with the fact that the motors are centered in the back here. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not an expert on these. This is a Y4 configuration, and the flight characteristics that have to do with the way this thing flies. I think if I understood that more, I could tune it better. The thing I noticed about this is that on the pitch axis, when you're pitched over, it's very locked in. It just felt like I didn't have to really touch that very much to maintain that angle, especially if I was going in a straight line. Very agile on the roll axis, very quick on flips. On the pitch axis, since it's so kind of locked in, and it actually doesn't want to budge from whatever angle you have it at, it's harder to flip it. So I had to increase my RC rate, or the super rate on the pitch axis to get it to flip the way I wanted to, but still it just felt kind of strange. So as I mentioned, it comes with all the same electronics that the Lizard came with. These 1104 6000 kV motors are Realacc branded. They don't look like the ones that are on the Lizard that are purple and are E-Sheen branded, so maybe they're using a different bell in here. They don't feel as powerful as the ones on the Lizard for some reason. I'm not sure why. So here's what it looks like from the bottom, and you can see why they call this a Y4. It looks like a Y. So you would mount the battery here on the bottom like this, so I don't have that one rubber band. I've never had any problems with it coming off from the crash. But when you're taking off, you can see that the battery acts as a landing pad, and it keeps the back motor off the ground. Obviously you'll need to do that, otherwise if this is not spinning, you won't be able to take off. Something else that I should point out is that I've switched out the antenna on this all-in-one video transmitter, and if you want to know how to do that, I put a card in the corner on that video. Pretty easy to do, but I know a lot of people ask me questions about that. The circular polarized antenna that was on here from the factory, I broke it because I crashed when I first made this, and the reason I crashed is I had terrible video noise, and it wasn't just video noise. It was something else. Something was electronically wrong with this. It was something was actually just broken out of the factory, and so I couldn't fly it. I tried to fly it around a little bit, and ended up crashing, and then I broke the antenna on the crash. So I ended up trying to switch the camera out. That didn't. Oh, I fixed the antenna and I switched the camera, and then I put the camera back in. And I still didn't fix it. Switched it. Switched to a different camera that I had from one of my other micros. That didn't fix it. Then I swapped out the flight controller, and then that ended up fixing it. So after all that, the video noise went away, and I think it's because there's a LC filter that's on this board, and I think that LC filter was bad. So I had to swap the flight controller out to get good video. So I think just in my case, I just got a dud, and I had to do a little troubleshooting to get this flying properly. But once I actually made the correct or the repairs, I got it flying, and the video is fine, and you'll see that in the flight demo. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll put my PIDs here in the screen, and if you want to see the Betaflight config, I'll put a CLI dump in the description. You can check that out, and then I'll also then roll the flight demo at this point. Okay, we'll connect to the Scops and Betaflight configurator and see what we got. It's running an older version, 3.1.0, and it says it's running the Omnibus F3 board. So one of the first things I usually do on a lot of the micros now are getting a CLI dump. So get a configuration of what comes out of the factory in case I need to restore anything. And you just go to the CLI, type dump, and then you just copy this into a text file. And reboot the board, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what the factory settings are like. It has a serial receiver on there on UR3. It's got a FreeSky D8 receiver. The configuration is Y4, and you can see the setup of the motors here like this. Running D-Shot 600 with motor stop on. It's got VBAT on, serial receiver S-Bus. Current meters on, and that obviously is a wrong number. I don't think there's a current sensor on that board. And you got a Betaflight OSD on here. I'm going to reflash this board, so I'm going to probably change all of these settings anyway. Just want to show you what the factory settings look like. It looks pretty much stock. In PID tuning, these are also stock settings. Nothing unusual going on here. Channel map here is set to TAER, so you want to check your channel map on your radio, make sure it matches, or you can change it here to match your radio. Here are the modes. You've got switch arming on aux 1, air mode on aux 2, and angle on aux 2, but I'm going to be changing this in my setup. And I think that's going to be it. Here in the OSD, I'm going to be probably changing all this stuff. You should turn all this stuff off and just have battery voltage and flight time. So go ahead, I'm going to disconnect and go ahead and flash this board. And we'll pick Omnibus, latest version, and we'll load firmware. And go ahead and flash it. Okay, so while you're flashing, the buzzer goes off continuously. It's kind of annoying, but it turns off after you're done flashing. Okay, we'll go ahead and connect and set this on a level surface, calibrate the accelerometer. As you can see, we're on the newest version, 3.1.7. Got to put our settings back in here. Now, you could go into the CLI and then paste back in the dump that you took. But I usually like to set up the way, there's a very specific way I like to set up mine, so I'm going to be doing it this way. Alright, so we're going to select Y4, D-Shot 600, motor stop off. Didn't catch the board alignment, so we should probably check that. VBAT. I usually lower my numbers here so the buzzer doesn't bother me. I turn the current meter off. And turn black box off, turn air mode on, SD card off, OSD on. Go ahead and reboot. And here we can check the board alignment. So I'm going to see if this is correct, and that appears to be correct. Let's see where we in wizard config. I think we're done here. We got to select receiver, serial based receiver, and S-bus. It's a FreeSky receiver. And I think I'll leave everything else the same. There's no LED strip on this one. Failsafe, I usually put throttle to hold and guard time to 5, and those are the only things I change typically. I usually set the failsafe on the transmitter and on the receiver. So receiver, on my Tyrannus, I set my channel map to AETR. So I'm going to leave this alone. You should check yours to make sure it matches whatever's in your radio. I set my deadband to 2. And under modes, I'm going to put switch arming on aux 1 and save. And under OSD, I'm going to turn off all of this stuff except for flight time, and now I'm going to set the camera to NTSC. Put that in one. Oh. There we go. And then I'll save, and I'm going to change the font to the digital font. That's the one I like. And I think that's going to pretty much do it. Yeah, there's a couple more things I like to change in the CLI. I usually set my min check to 1005 and my max check to 2000. Gives you more resolution on your throttle stick. And hit save, and that should do it. Flies. Very interesting looking. Oh, the wind is really pushing it. Come on back. Let's take a good look at it. You can hear that wind going. Come on. Alright, let's fly it around a little bit. Doesn't feel like it has as much power as a quad. Yaw authority is really good. It's pretty sensitive on the yaw. See how it does an acro. Whoa, it's pretty quick. I think these are at different rates. Alright, so we got a punch out select. Woo! Try that again. Not as much as I was expecting.
for those motors. Oh! Doesn't look like there's any damage. I think I need different rates than I do on a quad. It just flies really different. Yeah. Flipping is slower than rolling. Oh, there goes my battery.